What if I told you that while Europe was still banging rocks together in the Bronze Age, Africans were forging iron tools that would change civilization forever? This is the story they don't teach in schools. This is the story of how Africa discovered iron and kept that knowledge secret for over 1,000 years. Around 2600 to 1500 BCE, that's over 4,000 years ago, something revolutionary happened in East and West Africa. In the Great Lakes region of Tanzania and Rwanda, and separately in Nigeria, ancient Africans discovered how to extract iron from ore using incredibly high temperatures. This wasn't borrowed technology. This wasn't learned from Middle Eastern traders. Archaeological evidence proves this was an independent African invention, one that predated European ironworking by more than 1,000 years. The Haya people of Tanzania perfected a furnace design so advanced that it could reach temperatures of 1,800 degrees Celsius, hot enough to produce carbon steel. Yes, steel. In 500 BCE, while Europeans were still working with bronze. So how did they do it? The process was ingenious. First, they built tall clay furnaces, sometimes 8 feet high, with carefully designed air channels. They used forced air bellows made from animal skins to pump oxygen into the furnace, creating temperatures far beyond what natural airflow could achieve. Inside, they loaded iron ore, typically hematite or magnetite, mixed with charcoal. As the temperature soared, a chemical reaction occurred. The oxygen bonded with the carbon, leaving behind pure molten iron. But here's where it gets extraordinary. The Haya people discovered that by controlling the carbon content during smelting, they could create steel, a stronger, more flexible metal than pure iron. This is the same principle behind modern steel production, discovered in Africa 2,500 years ago. European metallurgists wouldn't figure this out until the Industrial Revolution. This wasn't just about making shiny metal. Iron tools transformed African civilization. Iron-tipped plows revolutionized agriculture, allowing farmers to cultivate harder soils and feed larger populations. Iron weapons gave kingdoms military advantages, shaping the power dynamics of entire regions. Iron tools enabled massive construction projects, from stone cities to irrigation systems. The knot culture of Nigeria, working with iron by 1000 BCE, created one of Africa's most advanced ancient civilizations. The Kingdom of Kush in Sudan used iron weapons to resist Roman invasion. The Great Zimbabwe, built centuries later, was constructed using iron tools. Meanwhile, Europe? Still largely stuck in the Bronze Age. The Celtic peoples of Europe didn't begin working with iron until around 800 BCE, nearly 2,000 years after Africans had mastered the technology. Think about that. For 2 millennia, Africa had a technological advantage over Europe. That's not the story you learned in school, is it? So why don't we know this? Why isn't African ironworking taught alongside the Bronze Age and Iron Age in world history classes? Because acknowledging Africa's technological superiority contradicts the colonial narrative. European empires built their justification for slavery and colonization on the lie that Africans were primitive and uncivilized. If your history textbook admitted that Africans were producing steel while Europeans were still in the Bronze Age, the entire racist framework collapses. So they buried it. They called it controversial. They claimed Africans must have learned it from someone else, despite zero archaeological evidence supporting that claim. But the evidence is undeniable. The furnaces are still there. The slag heaps, Waste products from iron smelting are still there. The carbon-dated artifacts are still there. Africa didn't just participate in the Iron Age, Africa invented it. This is why we do what we do at Hotep Creations. Every video, every lesson plan, every piece of art we create is about reclaiming the truth that's been stolen from us. If this video opened your eyes, imagine what else you don't know.